Hi, my name is Madeline Welsh, and today I'll be discussing Module 15 titled Media, Technology, and Communications. All three of these, media, technology, and communications, are all basically inescapable in today's world, so I thought this was a very important chapter to cover. I will begin with a quick overview of how mass communications and mass media have progressed from the print age to today. Next, I will define the functions of mass media in society, and then I will relate some of those to my own personal experiences. In conclusion, I will make inferences on what I've learned through this process and how those inferences will help me move on in life in the media-saturated world we live in today. So going back to the start, mass communication and mass media can be traced back to about 560 years ago to the print age, marked by the technological advancement of the printing press in about 1450. This brought with it books, magazines, and newspapers widespread. They were available to everyone, which was never really possible before. Next, we have the audio-visual age, which is marked by wireless telegraphy, which brought radio, TV broadcasts, and with that, a whole slew of inventions. But it was marked by wireless telegraphy. Our last stop is the internet and digital media age, which we are still currently in today. The development of digital code and other technological advancements, of course, brought with it the internet, which we so heavily depend on. You might be asking, why is this timeline important? But the functions of mass media apply to all media, which includes old and new, so it's important to understand the background and how things became to what they are. The mass media has many functions that we depend on and expect as a society. Generally, these are information, instructive, interpretation, bonding, and the diversion functions. So to go in a little more depth, the information function is there to satisfy curiosity, reduce uncertainty, and to help us better understand how we fit into the world. There are many examples of this in my personal life, but the one that sticks out to me is each morning, or almost each morning, I try to skim through my news app on my phone to stay updated with current events that I otherwise wouldn't hear about. Another would be the almost instant access we have to search engines like Google, which provide us with endless amounts of information. The interpretation function is to interpret messages in more or less explicit and ethical ways. An example of this is watching the same news piece on Fox News versus MSNBC, and it becomes very clear how different interpretations can change the story altogether. Next, we have the instructive function, which is completed by outlets who cultivate knowledge by teaching rather than relaying information. For example, BBC's Planet Earth teaches its audience about conservation instead of just relaying facts about it. Next, we have the bonding function, which serves to bring people closer together. If it weren't for this function, I wouldn't have met my best friend. My sophomore year of college, two friends and I were looking for someone to sign a lease with us as our fourth roommate, and after relentless searching, we finally turned to Facebook. We put an ad out, and soon we found Jessie. If it weren't for Facebook, I would have never met one of my best friends. Lastly, we have the diversion function, which serves to distract us from our day-to-day lives and help with relaxation. I use an app called Calm when I'm feeling stressed or anxious to help me breathe it out and work through my emotions. I think it is very important to understand how and in what ways media affects us and serves us. Media can be very beneficial to us, like in the instructive and bonding functions. And in completing this project, I learned about how to maximize these benefits. But it can also be very harmful, like if you aren't aware of the interpretation function and how opinions and bias can often be portrayed as fact. In looking at media in a critical way, especially in today's media-saturated world, you have to stay on your toes and always think critically.